Europe is said to be in recovery after the global economic downturn, but the debt crisis in the Eurozone and uneven performances across Europe seem to question that. HKTDC's trade outlook from a European perspective with Regional Director Lore Buscher. Laura, looking at Europe in general, it seems that Germany is really the place to be, where you're an investor, whether you're somebody in trade. Is that the case?
We see a gradual recovery, but very uneven across Europe. And Germany is certainly one of the countries which recover faster than expected. We see an average increase of GDP this year of 1.6% across Europe, which is predicted to be 2.1% next year. Germany is above that average, but so are other countries in Europe. Like, for example, Sweden, Austria, also Poland. Take Poland, for example, has a huge, sizable market of 38 million, young population, eager to spend money. This is something Hong Kong companies can look at. We will also stage our third Lifestyle Expo in Warsaw in September, and we will not do that unless we see good potential for business opportunities.
So over the next year or so, we can see a lot of promotion into the countries that you mentioned, places like Sweden, places like Poland.
Yes, we do. We have quite a big promotional program, but not only for these countries, also for across Europe, and because we feel we still have to be in the countries, even if they're in the stage of recovery. For the countries in recession, we monitor the markets first because we re-enter.
What effect has the sovereign debt crisis in some of the Mediterranean European countries really had on Hong Kong trade, would you say? Because it's all over the newspapers. We talk about Greece, we talk about Portugal and other countries. But has that had really any effect, specific effect, on Hong Kong traders, on Hong Kong manufacturers?
The strict austerity measures and also inflation in these countries do not bode well with the retailers. And the consumers have to tighten their belt to make ends meet. So it is not easy for the retail trade. And the retail trade is very polarized also. You see luxury items selling well, also low price items. It's the middle segment which suffers most. It has some effect, but people still have to buy things, yeah, and they will.
And I suppose really when the subject comes up, it would be products like electronics, smartphones, things like that.
Electronics is certainly the growth sector in the next few months to come, particularly in the consumer electronics sector. 3EDs, tablets, e-readers, smartphones, certainly in demand because it's not yet that widespread in Europe, so the markets are definitely not saturated. But also electrical domestic appliances, if they're eco-friendly, energy saving, but also product for the best ages. The silver market is certainly in demand with their customized household appliances, the health care, medical devices, certainly is also something to look at.
So the silver market more for Western Europe, but would one say that the younger market, places like Turkey, which is outside the EU but trades a lot with the EU, that sort of a country, does that appear to be a very promising kind of market for Hong Kong?
Yes, it does, because Turkey is a big market with 73 million. The per capita income tripled from $3,000 to $9,000 in less than a decade. And you have the 50% of the population is under the age of 28. And young people just like to spend money, yeah, and like to buy things. So consumer products like watches and clocks, jewelry, toys, but also electronics, household appliances, are products for the Turkish market.
And really looking at it from the point of view of the Chinese consumer market and business that is available in China at the moment. People talk about Asia being where the movement of capital is going, and indeed China is the place where that capital is going to particularly. Do you see that? Is that your perception as well from the point of view of European companies in Germany, in Britain, in Spain and Portugal even?
all eyes are on China at the moment. That is very true. And more people are looking at China to do some kind of business. And more people realize Hong Kong as a good base to enter into the China markets for their business.